Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Top Tips for Archaeology Graduates. Today I'm joined by Luke. Hi, Luke, how are you?
Not too bad, thank you. So yourself?
I'm all right this evening as well.
Good,
So, Luke is a digital surveyor for York Minster. So, maybe, Luke, you could tell us a little bit about what a digital surveyor is.
Yeah, so I was brought into York Minster to aid in the introduction of essentially any technologies that they might need, particularly relating to the stonemasons and a little bit to the glaziers. So my main roles at the moment are introducing photogrammetry and laser scanning. And then we're also looking at just investing in CNC sawing technology. We're doing a lot of research into 3D printing. So it's any kind of technology that can help the heritage sector, help the Minster. We're just kind of doing a bit of research, seeing what's out there, and hopefully progressing the Minster and modernising a little bit.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Sounds actually really exciting, like you're working with lots of new technologies all the time.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen every day. It's quite interesting, actually.
Fantastic. What do you enjoy about your role?
The unpredictability of it, to be honest. You can go in one day, you'll be asked, oh, we need a quick scan of some of the masonry doing. That could be inside the Minster, that could be on the scaffold on the outside. And then the next day you could be looking at 3D printing. We're currently running some trials with a company in Amsterdam, actually, who are 3D printing in stone for us, which is sort of really pushing the boundaries of what we can do. So it's really quite interesting in that sense of it. But it's also quite good in the fact that it's bringing together the traditional heritage skills of the masons with these newer technologies, and we're not just sort of coming in to replace them. It's really nice in that we're getting a chance to train them up as well, and obviously they're learning the new skills, but I'm equally learning what it is they do, which is also really quite nice. I've not tried masonry yet. I don't think it's my thing, but it's nice to know how it's done and what's involved in their side of it as well, which is quite nice.
You get a chance to kind of marry up the right technology for the crafting that they do as well, those craft
Yeah,
techniques.
exactly. It's and I say we're sort of bringing them on board with everything, so they're having a lot of the input and a lot of say into what would aid them in the future. So it's nice that we are kind of, as you say, sort of marrying the two together, which is good.
So can I ask the other side of that question, which is what do you find more challenging about your role?
The same thing, to be honest.
So many people, when I'm doing these interviews, I ask what's the most enjoyable part, what's the most challenging, and they say the same thing. Go ahead.
It is quite challenging when you sort of ask, oh, we're looking at this, what do you know about it? And the answer usually is, I don't know, but give me half an hour on Google and a few phone calls and we'll see where we get with it. And it quite often does lead to some kind of, oh, I never knew you could do that. That's quite an interesting approach to it. And it does keep you on your toes and make sure that you're constantly staying focused, to be honest. But yeah, that's probably one of the more challenging parts of everything, I have to say.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Like you have to be an expert in all sorts of digital technology. Some I'm sure you will have studied before, but some are
Yes.
coming on new online all the time. And that's
Yeah,
one of the, I
absolutely.
think one of the challenges about one of the things a degree and a master's degree prepares you for. We know things are not going to stay the same. So you can learn specific technologies, but you also need to learn how to apply yourself to learning those new
Yeah.
technologies, because new ones are going to come online all the time.
Yeah, so part of my master's was we did a bit of photogrammetry on one of my modules and learnt one bit of software, brilliant. Get to the Minster and we've gone on a different route, a different piece of software. So it's still learning. It's the same process, but it's just relearning the skills, reapplying them. So that kind of keeps you on your toes quite a bit.
Yeah. So can I ask, how did you get your role? How did you end up working first as a digital surveyor and also for the Minster?
So it was actually through a placement on my master's. So I did my master's in digital archaeology at York, obviously, and there was a placement opened up where there was a group of us who were going to go and do some photogrammetry on some of the grotesques. Essentially, as the very beginning of what my job now is, was to trialing these new softwares for the Minster, and I managed to sort of get a place on that. I think there was probably about 10 of us in total. So we just went across, did a bit of photogrammetry, and then after that, there was another position opened up I applied for. Got quite lucky in getting onto that one, and then from there, the Minster approached me, sort of saying, "Look, we've got this role opening up. Is it something you'd be interested in?" So it definitely all came from that initial placement that Dav and Neil, the old IT guy, helped set up.
Yeah, so it's kind of connections in the department and the chance to do a placement during your masters really led to this. Can I ask then, how did your, outside of the placement, how did your degree support you? Obviously, the placement was a fantastic chance to apply some of the skills you were learning in the masters itself.
Yeah, so my master's, say, was digital archaeology, so a lot of the skills in photogrammetry, photography, and then my dissertation was based on 3D printing, so that kind of fed into that quite nicely. Now, I also did my undergrad at York, but I never did any of the buildings modules. So when I got to the Minster and they're starting talking about specific buildings types, I'm sat thinking, I wish I'd taken one of Dav's modules now. But it does sort of give you the foundation of the knowledge there and sort of the history of it. But it was definitely more the kind of the digital techniques that have fed into the job now.
What about some of the transferable skills or softer skills, the perhaps less directly relevant skills? Are there anything of that from your time in York that you still draw on now?
Absolutely, yeah. Presenting skills. The department loves their kind of group presentations and things, and they really do go a long way into the job when you're sort of proposing to the funders, look, this is what we're looking at, this is what it's going to cost, pros and cons of everything. So those presenting skills really do help in that area, and just kind of the general historical knowledge of York, the building itself. It does help, and to have have come more from the historic and heritage side of the business as opposed to the more technical and engineering side, it has helped with the stonemasons in that when talking to them, the sort of easing into it a bit more, knowing that we are wanting to keep those heritage skills alive for them. We're not wanting to replace them, and it has kind of helped them ease into some of the more modern technologies a bit more as well, which is quite nice.
Yeah. That's really great. Thank you very much. So can I ask finally, what are your top tips for someone who wants to follow in your footsteps, who is, enjoying learning some of those technical skills during their degree and wants to pursue that?
If there are placements opening up, absolutely go for them. Even if sort of you think, I'm not sure if that's for me, just go for it, because you never know what's going to come out with it. I got very lucky in that the job was opening up at the right time, but even just some of the contacts you'll make through doing the placements, absolutely fantastic. And yeah, just try anything new that's out there. It's changing that quickly that you've always got something new to learn, new technologies, new skills, and they do go a long way to helping. So yeah, it is always best just to kind of put yourself out there a bit.
I think that's really fantastic advice, especially just to kind of take those opportunities when they arrive and try and look out for placements and for internships and things like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, it's been really fantastic to talk to you today, Luke, and to get an insight into your work, your fantastic work for the Minster. It sounds to me like a very challenging but really rewarding job. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your enthusiasm has shined through as well, which is fantastic. So thank you to Luke. Thank you to everyone who's watching. Join us again next time for more top tips for archaeology graduates.